Have you ever seen your cat slowly blink at you? That signature slow blink, often called a cat kiss, is a universal sign of trust and affection. But what if I told you that, in ancient Japan, that simple blink might have been a warning sign? A signal that the creature looking back wasn't just a cat anymore, but perhaps sizing you up as its next victim. Intrigued? Today, we're diving into the fascinating and often terrifying world of Japanese mythology to understand why cats in the land of the rising sun are simultaneously revered deities and horrifying shape-shifting demons. We'll trace their journey from the symbol of good fortune, the Maneki-neko, all the way to the monstrous Bakeneko, beasts capable of taking human form. I promise after this, you'll look at your own furry friend in a completely different light. But where did this duality begin? And how did cats even arrive in Japan to earn such an ambiguous and powerful status? The story begins around the 6th century AD. Cats were first brought to the Japanese islands on ships travelling from China. They weren't just common passengers though. Their mission was sacred. To God priceless Buddhist sutras from the mice and rats that could chew through the fragile paper scrolls. Right from the start, cats became associated with the protection of knowledge and spirituality. They weren't mere animals, they were guardians of wisdom. This initial role cemented their high status in society. They were rare, expensive, and deeply revered creatures, primarily accessible only to the aristocracy and the Buddhist monasteries. Cats very quickly became a symbol of status and luxury. This was especially true during the Heian period from the 8th to the 12th century, when the imperial court was practically obsessed with them. Emperor Ichijo, for instance, adored his cat so much that he bestowed upon it a special court rank and even assigned it servants. These pampered felines were adorned with beautiful bell-jingling collars, fed the most exquisite cuisine, and allowed to roam freely throughout the palace chambers. The court lady, Sei Shonagon, enthusiastically details the lives of these privileged creatures in her famous work, The Pillow Book. They were not merely pets. They were integral members of the highest society. This intense adoration eventually elevated cats to a near-divine status, with people believing they brought good fortune and prosperity to their owners. This adoration reached such an extent that in 1602 an imperial edict was issued. It forbade keeping cats confined or on leashes. All cats were ordered to be released to roam freely, allowing them to more effectively combat the rodents threatening the vital silk industry. On one hand, this was a pragmatic step, but on the other, it forever altered the relationship between humans and cats. The animals, once pampered court favourites, were instantly transformed into street strays. They grew wilder, fiercely independent, and ultimately more mysterious. It was at this precise moment, when the cats began living lives hidden from human sight, that the first dark legends began to take root in the popular consciousness. But let's start with a good one. The most famous and beloved feline image in Japan is, of course, the Maneki-neko, the beckoning cat. It's the cat figurine with a raised paw that you can spot in nearly every Japanese shop or restaurant. Where did this tradition come from? The most popular legend involved the Gotoku-ji temple in Tokyo, back in the 17th century. One day, a noble samurai named Naotaka took shelter from a sudden thunderstorm beneath a tree. Suddenly, he noticed the temple abbot's cat sitting near the gate, seemingly beckoning him with its paw. Intrigued, the samurai followed. In that very instant, lightning struck the tree he had just left. In gratitude for saving his life, the samurai became the temple's patron, bringing it great prosperity. And that is how the legend of the lucky, beckoning cat was born. Speaking of which, the Maneki-neko's pose is anything but random. Each component holds a specific significance. If the cat is raising its right paw, it's meant to attract money and good fortune. If it's the left paw, it's for drawing in customers and visitors. Occasionally, you might spot a Maneki-neko with both paws raised. This signifies maximum protection and overall well-being. The figurine's colour is also crucial. The traditional tricolour pattern, or mike, is considered the most auspicious. White symbolises purity and positivity, black wards off evil spirits, gold is for attracting wealth, and red, offers protection against illness. So, when choosing one of these lucky cats as a talisman, people pay very close attention to these details. It's an entire symbolic system designed to draw the best possible fortune into one's life. The Maneki-neko has become a true global phenomenon. It has spread far beyond Japan's borders to become one of the most recognizable symbols of Asian culture worldwide. You can spot it everywhere, in New York's Chinatowns, in souvenir shops across Europe, and naturally in countless anime and manga series. Even the popular Pokemon Meowth was partly inspired by the Maneki-neko. This image is now so ingrained in pop culture that many people don't even stop to consider its deep roots in Japanese folklore. It has become a universal symbol of hospitality and prosperity, but hidden behind this bright, friendly facade is a completely different and much darker side of its feline nature, which we're about to explore. So how exactly did this charming creature turn into a monster? The turning point in the perception of cats came when they started to be associated with old age and death. Unlike dogs, which were seen as symbols of faithfulness until death, cats were fiercely independent. They could wander off and return only when it suited them. What's more, they also lived a remarkably long time by the standards of that era. An old cat that outlived its owner was enough to spark suspicion. People noticed their strange behaviours, stretching up on their hind legs to reach food, or letting out sounds eerily similar to human speech. Their eyes glowing in the dark and their silent, stealthy movements only ramped up the fear. Soon, rumours began to circulate that extremely old cats gained supernatural powers and were no longer ordinary animals. And so, the Bakeneko, a monstrous, shape-shifting cat spirit, came into the world. Legend has it that any cat could become a Bakeneko, provided it lived long enough, usually over 13 years, reached a significant weight, or most importantly, had an unusually long tail. It was believed that the cat's magical energy was stored and accumulated specifically in its tail. Once transformed into a Bakeneko, the creature gained a whole arsenal of terrifying abilities. It could grow to the size of a man, walk upright on its hind legs, conjure phantom fireballs, and, most terrifyingly, speak human language. Bakeneko often sought revenge on people who had mistreated them. They might take the form of a deceased family member to drive their abusers to madness, or perhaps even simply devour their master and take their place. Let's dive deeper into the capabilities of these creatures. The Bakeneko were masters of illusion and deception. They could not only speak, but also place curses on people. One of their most terrifying abilities was necromancy. It was believed that a Bakeneko could reanimate the dead simply by jumping over a corpse. For this reason, cats were strictly kept away from the bodies of the deceased before burial. Legends tell of them forcing the corpses to dance, striking terror into the hearts of the living. Furthermore, they were known to drink the oil from lamps, a strange habit that was believed to give them power. Imagine the scene. On a dark night, you catch your own house cat standing on its hind legs, lapping oil from a lantern. After witnessing that, I think we can all agree you wouldn't be sleeping soundly anytime soon. One of the most famous and blood-curdling tales of the Bakeneko is the vampire cat of Nabeshima. The story tells of a prince from the Nabeshima clan and his beloved concubine. Tragically, a cat belonging to his enemy murdered the young woman, drank her blood, and then took on her exact appearance. Every night, the cat in disguise would visit the prince and slowly drain his life force, causing him to waste away from a mysterious ailment. No one could discover the reason for his decline until one faithful guard noticed a terrifying detail. The concubine's shadow on the paper shoji screen each night was undeniably that of a cat. The deception was finally exposed, and the demon cat was ultimately defeated. The story became incredibly popular, was performed countless times in the kabuki theatre, and remains a true classic of the Japanese kaidan horror genre. All these spooky tales gave rise to a powerful folk belief. The longer a cat's tail, the greater its magical power, and the higher the risk of it transforming into a demon. The fear of a cat becoming a Bakeneko, or cat spirit, grew so intense that it actually influenced the development of an entire cat breed. The Japanese bobtail, with its distinctive short, coiled, pom-pom tail, was then seen as the safe option. The rationale was simple. Without a long tail, people believed the cat simply couldn't accumulate enough power to ever become a Bakeneko. Sadly, this belief often resulted in the tails of long-tailed kittens being cruelly docked to prevent the transformation. It's a stark, though rather cruel example of how mythology can directly impact the real world, influencing not just culture, but even the selective breeding of animals. But if you thought the Bakeneko was the peak of feline terror, you'd be mistaken. There is a creature that is even more ancient and powerful, the Nekomata. Unlike the Bakeneko, which is simply a transformed house cat, the Nekomata is an inherently demonic entity. Its most distinguishing feature, the one that immediately catches the eye, is its split, fork-like tail. Legend holds that once an old cat's tail splits, it achieves the highest stage of demonic evolution. The Nekomata is far more malicious and powerful than the Bakeneko. While the Bakeneko often seeks revenge for specific wrongs, the Nekomata simply revels in chaos and human suffering. So, what exactly are the key differences between these two feline demons? First, let's look at their origins. The Bakeneko is essentially a product of the human world, a domestic pet that transformed. The Nekomata, however, is often described as a mountain spirit, a yōkai that was wild and inherently hostile to people. Secondly, power. The Nekomata possesses all the Bakeneko's abilities, but they are amplified to a superlative degree. They don't just conjure minor spectral flames, they ignite massive infernos capable of burning down entire villages. Furthermore, while the Bakeneko takes on human form for the purpose of deception, the Nekomata often does it just for sport, simply to sow discord and bring death. Ultimately, if the Bakeneko is the spirit of an avenger, the Nekomata is a full-fledged, pure demon from the depths of the underworld. The legends of the mountain Nekomata are particularly terrifying. They tell of monstrous, tiger-sized cats that dwell deep within the mountains and prey on humans. These beasts mimic the cry of a human infant to lure unsuspecting travellers into a trap where they then attack and devour them. It was believed these creatures possessed a cunning intellect, allowing them to understand and even anticipate human actions. They were the very embodiment of the wild, untamed nature, utterly hostile to civilization. These stories served as a grim warning to any who dared to venture too deep into the unexplored mountain forests. As a result, the image of this immense, man-eating cat became permanently etched into Japanese folklore as one of the most dangerous and feared yōkai. There is another interesting and somewhat darker link between cats and Japanese culture, one tied directly to the pleasure quarters. Geisha and courtesans frequently kept cats as pets. Much like the women themselves, cats were regarded as graceful, mysterious creatures who lived entirely by their own rules. One compelling legend tells of a geisha who was mistakenly killed by her master. He believed her loyal cat was attacking her, when in fact, the cat was frantically trying to warn its mistress about a snake hidden in the rafters. After the cat's death, its spirit remained to exact revenge on the man who wronged them both. This tale demonstrates that even in the context of vengeance, a cat's fierce devotion could be the driving force, ultimately adding both tragedy and depth to the feline's already demonic image. The belief in cats' connection to the spirit world was incredibly powerful. Beyond their supposed ability to reanimate corpses, they were also thought to be capable of stealing the soul of a dying person. They were also famously linked to vampirism. One legend speaks of a vampire cat that would drink the blood of sleepers at night, slowly draining the life from them. It was these very beliefs that established the tradition in Japan of never leaving a cat alone with a deceased person. People feared the animal might not only desecrate the body, but also capture the soul of the departed, preventing it from finding eternal rest. This liminal space between worlds, on which the cat seems to balance, makes its image in mythology both terrifying and alluring. But don't think for a moment that modern Japan only fears cats. There are places where their reverence reaches unbelievable heights. A perfect example is Tashirojima Island, also known as Cat Island. On this island, the cat population outnumbers the human residents by several times. The local inhabitants, mostly fishermen, believe that cats bring good luck and ensure a bountiful catch. Dogs are forbidden on the island, and at its centre stands a cat shrine, dedicated to a cat that was accidentally killed by a falling rock. This spot is living proof that the positive image of the cat as a benevolent protector remains strong in Japanese culture, coexisting seamlessly with the darker legends of the past. This duality is vividly reflected in modern pop culture, particularly in anime and manga. On the one hand, we have the cute and wise feline companions, like Luna from Sailor Moon or Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service. They embody positive traits, wisdom, loyalty, and magical protection. On the other hand, the horror genre heavily utilizes the imagery of the Bakeneko and the Nekomata. For instance, one of the story arcs in the anime, Mononoke, is specifically dedicated to investigating the case of a demonic Bakeneko cat. Modern authors brilliantly capitalize on this contrast, creating characters that are simultaneously charming and deadly. This perfectly captures the essence of their mythological prototypes. But why cats? What is it about them that makes them the bearers of such complex and often contradictory symbolism? The answer lies in their very nature. Cats are creatures of the boundary. They live alongside us but never truly belong to us. Their independence, their nightly wanderings, their silent movements and those eyes that glow in the dark have always stirred up a potent mix of fascination and primal fear. They can be incredibly affectionate one moment and coldly aloof the next. They are small predators living right inside our homes. This inherent duality has made them the perfect canvas for projecting our deepest human fears and hopes, for all the stories of good and evil, loyalty and betrayal. Ultimately, the question of God or demon has no definitive answer. According to Japanese folklore, the cat's nature simply mirrors the attitude shown toward it. If you love and care for your cat, it will become your Maneki-neko, bringing good fortune and protecting your home. But if you treat her with cruelty or cause her harm, then be prepared to face the vengeful spirit of the Bakeneko, which will come for you out of the darkness. Thus, the legends about cats are more than just frightening bedtime stories. They are profound parables about karma, about taking responsibility for your actions, and about how even the smallest and most seemingly defenseless creature can possess an immense power, one capable of both creation and destruction. Well, we've certainly covered a fascinating journey, from sacred scroll guardians and imperial favourites to gruesome shapeshifters that can command the dead. We've seen two completely different sides to Japanese cats. On one hand, there's the Maneki-neko, the charming and benevolent symbol of good fortune, born from a heartwarming tale of loyalty and gratitude, and on the other, the Bakeneko and Nekomata, terrifying demons conjured by fear, cruelty, and the mysterious nature of the cats themselves. This incredible duality, from deity to monster, perhaps best encapsulates the true essence of these enigmatic creatures who share our lives. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you found this interesting, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. And now for the big question. Take a look at your own cat. Who do you think they would be in Japanese mythology? A benevolent deity of luck or a cunning demon? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below. I'm really looking forward to reading what you come up with.